Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator news and updates. And we've got all kinds of cool stuff, including some live footage from the A380 coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future updates and future guides that will be coming down the road. Link to Patreon can be found in the description below. Okay, so first out of the gate, the A380 from FlyByWire is making significant progress. Now, there is no sign of release or anything like that as of yet, but we finally get to see the aircraft live in the simulator, taken to the skies in her full glory and absolutely behemothicity. That's a word that you guys can keep, behemothicity. This aircraft is an aircraft that I have been super excited for a very long time, and this fly-by-wire sort of went radio silent on it for quite a long time, so it was really nice to see this pop up on the feed today. There will be a link down in the description to this particular YouTube video. It's quite a long video. They go through many of the cockpit interior, the textures. They actually do, as you guys can see, a little bit of flying. They do a full takeoff. They do some landing. There's all kinds of great information being broken down on it. They talk about skinners and how they're going to be, once the paint kit is complete, they're going to be putting the aircraft, they're going to go nuts and just go livery crazy with it upon its, so that way it's ready for release. Now, obviously, there's still a ton of work to be done with it. And I want to emphasize very, very, very clearly, this is a very, very early access rendition of this aircraft, and in no way, shape, or form represents the final product. There's still a ton more to do. Like I said, we don't even have any kind of a release date as of yet, but it is really awesome to see the aircraft airborne. Call me silly, call me dumb, whatever. I would absolutely grab this aircraft right now and fly it as is. I don't care. I want this aircraft so bad. For a number of reasons, quite frankly. Either that or, like I said, a high fidelity, I've said this before, a high fidelity, if you will, 747 I would take to. The salty 747 version is absolutely amazing, but it'd be nice to see something even more complex. They do a great job of showing off the cockpit in here. I love the way that the instrument panel has changed in comparison to that of the A320. Now, there are obviously still a ton of similarities. There's going to be a lot of things that we're going to be able to take from the A320 and move over into the A380 as far as general system operation. But as far as checklist procedures, this 4-engine monster is definitely going to be a significant change, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. This is one I'm going to go guide crazy with. I love the big 4-engine aircraft. They are all being phased out at this point. I don't even think there are any A380s left that are to be developed. There are some obviously still flying, but not many. Most of them are through like Emirates and more of the Middle Eastern air traffic that are still using them. But you actually don't see very many anymore. They are very costly to operate. They're very inefficient in comparison to some of the newer aircraft that's available when it goes to cost to profit, margins and things like that. But the A380 was the largest of the commercial aircraft ever built. And unfortunately, up until the loss of the the Anatol 225 in Ukraine with the a very unnecessary strike against the AN 225, the A380, if I'm not mistaken, has now become the largest aircraft in the sky today. Now, I don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that that's what I heard, was that it is now officially the largest flying aircraft currently across the world. It is a behemoth. This thing is just such a massive aircraft, and yet it's so elegant and graceful. I love the wings design on this aircraft. I love the textures. I love the size of the cockpit. The overall just size of the aircraft is just one of those marvels that it's sort of like looking at a C5 Galaxy. If you've ever seen a C5 Galaxy fly, you look at it and it's so big and so massive, and yet it looks like it's moving so slowly through the air. It's like if it hits a bird, it's just going to fall out of the sky, and when in fact they're doing 250, 240 knots by the time that we see them on the ground. And so it's It's a really exciting time. This is an aircraft that I was super excited the day that FlyByWire announced that they were making it. And I want to emphasize once again, guys, FlyByWire is sticking with their guns in the fact that this will be a free release. There will be no charge for the A380X upon its release. So the fact that the team is developing this aircraft just to start with, and then with the high fidelity and the incredible effort they're putting into it, all of you who fly the FlyByWire A320, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're Phoenix or FlyByWire, they're both fantastic aircraft, and the FlyByWire is completely free. So if the A380 comes out anything close to the FlyByWire A320, we are ahead of the game as simmers, and it's completely free. I'm going to emphasize that until the day it's released and long after. What a marvel and what an incredible undertaking to grab this one as a gift to the community, essentially. So FlyByWire, keep doing what you guys do. Super excited to see this. Again, you guys, if you want to see this full YouTube video, a link to it and the article will be down in the description below. Just keep in mind, once again, that this video in no way, shape, or form represents what the final product is going to be. This is an extremely early access rendition of the aircraft. It's basically just a teaser and to let us as the community know they are actively working on the aircraft and working very hard to bring her to us as quickly as possible. So continue to kick some tail, FlyByWire. Aeroplane Heaven has broken the silence about their Avro Lancaster. For those of you who don't know, the Lancaster was a very famous and very effective World War II bomber for the British. Very similar in size and capacity to the B-24 Liberator, although in many ways better performing depending on what area of the war aspect we're talking about. They had announced this aircraft a long time ago, and they went radio silent right about the time that they announced their DC-3, which we obviously later figured out what happened there when it launched with the Microsoft Flight Simulator for the 40th anniversary update. Now, we still don't have any kind of time frame as far as when the Lancaster will be received in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but we have some absolutely stunning imagery of this incredibly beautiful aircraft. She's an incredibly gorgeous plane. Again, it was very, very successful. It didn't have quite the payload of its competitors, such as the B-17 and the B-24. But again, she was still very, very capable, very, very effective bomber for its time. I mean, obviously, anything when you speak of the bombers in relationship to World War II, it's all going to be subjective given the fact it was still a matter of putting 1,000 planes over a particular target and just leveling, 40 square miles of field in order to hit your target. But definitely a lot of history involved around the Lancaster. It was certainly an aircraft to be intimidating to the German fleet. It was a very, very wonderful and very, very beautiful and elegant piece of aviation history, in my personal opinion. What separated it from many of the other bombers, aside from the B-17, for example, was that it was a tail dragger, where I believe the B-24 Liberator and, for example, like the B-29, well, the B-29 doesn't really count. She sort of changed the game there. But I believe the B-24 was a nose wheel steering aircraft. But you can certainly see a lot of relationship between the two aircraft. For those who are familiar with the B-24 versus the Lancaster. Super excited about this one. I really don't have a problem with this one. Some of the World War II aircraft is getting a bit on the redundant side just because of the fact that you can't really do anything with them, right? I guess it really depends on what your peak is. I absolutely enjoy, to this day, still flying the Spitfire, the P-38 Lightning, and the Corsair are probably my favorites. Even the P-40 that I flew a couple weeks ago was a ton of fun to fly. But a 4-engine World War II bomber, that's going to be a whole different aspect. That's going to be something that's going to be very unique to flight simulation that no other flight simulator currently offers that I'm aware of. I mean, maybe War Thunder, but when it comes to flight dynamics and things like that, it's a whole different ball game when you compare it. But so it's going to be a very interesting experience depending on the fidelity of the flight model and the flight dynamics, running down the runway in a Avro Lancaster. This is going to be quite an impressive specimen, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it hit the simulator. The highest elevation for commercial airports in the United States is Telluride. Telluride. Gosh, Telluride. I'm never going to say it right. I am never going to say it right. Okay, so I just want you guys to understand that right now. I am never going to say it right. Anyway, UK 2000 Scenery has released Telluride 2022 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is an incredibly well-detailed airport. It's an extremely challenging airport, guys. If you guys have not given this one a shot, I highly recommend it. I've tried it once with a gosh, what was the first time? I think the first time was with the Mooney. I don't recommend it. Tried it the second time with the TBM 930. Had much better success, especially at those altitudes, as the elevation is over 9,000 feet, and there are tons of mountains and hills and ravines and everything right around the runway. So it's extremely gusty. It's extremely unpredictable, in my opinion, and definitely offers a significantly more difficult approach. The YouTube video does an absolutely beautiful job of breaking down K-Tex, if you will, and showing off the incredible features of this very, very challenging approach, again, in my opinion. But this is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. What they've done here, and at some point we will be showcasing it on the channel as soon as we catch up with the backlog. But this is definitely a very fun one. Samsung 3D announced their final release of scenery for 2022, which will be Vancouver times for Microsoft Flight Simulator. This will be a much more broad spectrum, detailed version of the entire area in the city. This is what I'd like to see more of. Airports are wonderful, guys. Do not get me wrong. They are wonderful. But in my opinion, for flight simulation, they're not what really make the experience. The experience comes from the scenery. The airports are cool, and having a detailed airport is absolutely just as important, in my opinion. But I love it when they expand beyond the airport, because you're only at the airport for a few minutes. You're only going to see those parts at which you taxi past. If you're following your departure and approach procedures, you're not going to be focusing a whole lot on looking at the whole rest of the airport and really getting to soak up that scenery. But on your way into the approach or your departures, or if you're doing a VFR flight, the city, everything around it, that's where it comes into play. I wish I knew how. I don't have the know-how, but I wish I knew how to do a full, authentic, updated mapping of the city of Tucson, where I live. I would absolutely love to learn how to do that, because that's what makes it fun, is the scenery. So, Samsung 3D and what they're doing here is exactly what I would like to see more of. I'd like to see the airports included, as I said, definitely, and I'm not trying to take away. I tried to dabble in it, and it confused the hell out of me within the first few minutes. So I know it's a very difficult thing to do. I know it can be very tricky, and it's a lot of time. So I am not trying to take away from airport developers at all. I know it's a very challenging thing, and I think you guys do a wonderful job. Don't misunderstand that. But it'd just be nice to see people do like this and dive into the cities too. Yes, I'm looking for you guys to do the work that I want to do, but don't know how and can't figure out, because apparently I don't have the brain power. But this is a very, very beautiful rendition. I love the detail that's being put into it. Everything from the buildings, no foliage on the buildings. The trees are being removed in the place that they don't exist. That's what I'd like to see. Microsoft Flight Simulator offers a great base to start with, certainly. But it just doesn't, even like out here in Tucson, the scenery is pretty messed up, because the satellite imagery is tainted by all of the foliage and trees and things like that where they don't belong. And so it really ruins the experience in many ways. So I wish I knew how to do this. Samsung 3D, keep kicking tail, because this is awesome. And hint, hint, maybe your next project could be Tucson, Arizona, United States. I'm just saying, I'm asking for a friend, right? I'm asking for a friend. I wouldn't want that. I'm asking for a friend. My friend would want you to do Tucson, Arizona. It's not me. I'm just trying to be that guy who passes a message. And I'm going to run before I can get any more trouble. Let's move to the next one. Another fantastic aircraft that will absolutely make its way to the channel is the MD-11. The tri-engine MD-11 is now available on the sim market for 57 euros. And we're definitely going to be checking this one out. I have been waiting for this one for a long time. I think the tri-engine MD-11 is one of those aircraft that's very iconic. We've all seen it. We all know what it looks like. Now, it is no longer used for passenger operation, but it certainly was for a very long time. It's still very, very heavily used as cargo operation. You see it all the time. UPS is still one of the biggest users of it, if my understanding was correct, as I was doing some research about it a couple of weeks ago. Now, one of the things about it that I actually found interesting, maybe you guys can help shed some light on this, is the tri-engine design gave it the ability to operate over uninhabited areas of the world without ETOP restrictions. Now, eventually I'm going to look it up, but I'm hoping one of you guys beats me to it and saves me some time. I don't know what those ETOP restrictions mean, and why does having 3 engines versus 2 engines allow them to operate over uninhabited areas of the world? I don't know. So if one of you guys wants to comment down below and let me know about that, I'd be very interested to read that. However, because of its tri-engine design, it gives it the ability to open up a ton more routes that aren't available, obviously, to dual engine aircraft. Now, it has full 3D animated surfaces, high resolution textures. Each variant of the aircraft, which there are 4 different models of the aircraft, comes with 2 different engine types, native modeling, and according to Sky Simulations, the plane has a highly accurate flight modeling and a fully simulated air system and operative FMC. So I'm very, very super excited for this aircraft, and I will definitely be picking this up and we'll definitely be checking it out here on the channel. This is one that, yeah, I'm stoked for this. I'm down with this one. This is cool. Tri-engine is going to be something completely different, something completely new. I love all the airliners that we have currently, but again, this is way out of the game of anything else that we have currently in the simulator. So we will absolutely be giving this one a shot, and very, very soon. So stick around. As always, my friends, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this news and update video. Again, please accept my deepest gratitude for reaching 30,000 subscribers. You guys are absolutely phenomenal, and I cannot wait for another 30,000. This is just going so far beyond what I ever expected it to be, and that is because of you, and I don't ever forget that. I do my best to read through all your comments. Even if I don't respond, I at least hear them, and I accept the criticism, both negative and positive, and it's what makes the channel continue to grow and develop into what it is today, and that could never be done without you all. So as always, stay safe and healthy, folks. I'll see you in the next one.